Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Oh my God, we need to just get into it. David Beckham, the Beckhams versus the Sussexes. Lord have mercy. Yeah, we need to get into this. But before we do get into this, please do press the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel. Guys, if you are returning, thank you so much for your support. And please, I'd love to see my channel grow. So please do subscribe, press the like button, and please do engage in any sort of commentary in the comments section. Obviously, keep it clean. So, guys, what is going on? Here's this article from GB News. And, as I always say, I pick these articles, but I do see these things reported elsewhere. So it isn't, particularly any particular article that I have any sort of affiliation for. But obviously, just picked up this GB News. And what it reports is that David Beckham is absolutely furious as his friendship with Meghan and Harry are over amid leaking claims. So I'll go through the article. Basically, in a nutshell, Meghan allegedly has accused Victoria Beckham of leaking stories about Harry and Meghan because, of course, the world is just so interested in Harry and Meghan, and the world is just attacking them, and the world wants to leak stories about them, but also make up lies, but also have some sort of campaign against them. We're all just obsessed with them. So, if there's ever stories out there, it must be leaked by celebrities or by members of the royal family, because everyone is so concerned with these two and don't have their own lives to lead and aren't better, financially stronger, more powerful, more influential, and more richer than them. No, these celebrities and members of the royal family and whomever out there of power is so consumed and concerned with Harry and Meghan. Heaven forbid, it's probably the person who's fixing the light bulb, the person who's serving the tea, the person who's grooming the hair, the person who's doing the makeup. Heaven forbid, it's the waiter who passes the champagne. Heaven forbid, it's any of these individuals that, leak any stories. Heaven forbid, heaven forbid. Now, I grew up in the era of the Spice Girls, okay? I remember Victoria Beckham when she was Posh Spice. I remember Victoria before she even met David Beckham. I remember when they met. I remember when she got pregnant. I remember their wedding. I remember the whole Spice Girls, the whole situation. Meghan was like a speck in the universe when Victoria Beckham was grafting her way, hustling her way, singing and dancing her way up to where she is now, which is essentially a fashion mogul and icon. And she will forever be a music icon in terms of her role in the Spice Girls. David Beckham, I remember David Beckham before he became a star. I remember him playing for England. I remember him being the captain of the England team. I know all about his charity work, all about his philanthropy. I know all about all the good that he does and all the work that he does. And frankly, my view is that internationally, people probably know who David Beckham is over Prince Harry. Okay, if you pick a random boy in the middle of nowhere, he'll know about David Beckham and he'll know about football rather than Prince Harry. He'll be like, who? Prince Harry, who? But he'll know who David Beckham is. Okay, people walk around, thousands and thousands and thousands of little boys, thousands and thousands of men, women, girls walk around with Beckham on the back of their t-shirt, right? Thousands and thousands. They didn't walk around with Henry Windsor on the back of their t-shirt. They walk around with Beckham on their t-shirt, right? Thousands and thousands of little girls, women, boys, men dance around to "If You Want to Be My Lover, You Got to Get With My Friend," right? Not Suits. So I don't know who these two think they are, but Victoria and David Beckham are extremely private individuals. They've lived their private life. Like, they are an example of someone who can be very rich, very successful, very well known, very influential, very powerful, as well as being very, very private. They live such a private life. They have a huge family. They have a family of 4 children. And then we have Harry and Meghan over here, and allegedly Victoria Beckham and David Beckham are leaking stories about them. Excuse me. So apparently, and I don't know if it's going to be included in this article, but what I've read is that apparently I think Meghan Markle was given, Victoria Beckham was giving Meghan Markle some makeup advice or doing some makeup with her or some beauty tips or whatever. And that story was appeared in the news. So Meghan Markle assumed that it was Victoria Beckham leaking the story. I mean, how offensive is that? Like, Victoria Beckham don't care about you. You don't impact her life. Anyway. And then Harry being Harry and Meghan being Meghan. Meghan plays the victim, Miss Powerful, feminist, independent. She plays the victim. Harry does the defending. He goes out and defends her honor. And he goes out with no facts, defends her honor, allegedly rings up David Beckham and is like, what is this about? David Beckham's like, excuse me? And he's like, who is this for? The amount that David Beckham has achieved and worked and grafted in his life compared to Harry. David Beckham was like, excuse me? Excuse me? And so then, you know, I'm obviously just putting my own take on this, right? But this is like generally kind of what happened. And then apparently they kind of sorted it all out, but things have never been the same as it were. And then people are saying, oh, well, Meghan and Harry weren't invited to David and Victoria's son's wedding. And they weren't invited to like some sort of football charity game thing that David did in America with Lionel Messi. So people are saying, oh, you know, David's furious and this friendship is over. Okay. So I think obviously read everything with a pinch of salt. I did hear something quite a while ago about them falling out and it was something to do with Victoria Beckham. So I do probably think that there is some truth about Meghan accusing Victoria of leaking stories. There probably is that truth. And the relationship probably isn't as good as it was before. But I don't think that David's probably furious. And I don't think that the friendship is over. I think that's probably over egging it. I don't think that they weren't invited to their son's wedding for any particular reason. Because if you think about it, yes, they went to Harry and Meghan's wedding, but they also went to William and Kate's wedding. And William and Kate weren't invited to their son's wedding, as far as I'm aware. So I don't think it's a snub. I think what it is really the invitation was probably down to, is he Brooklyn? I think it was Brooklyn Beckham, Brooklyn and his wife. The invitations were probably down to them, because I think I read some article about how her mum or something was like, you know, are we going to invite Meghan or the Duchess or whatever? And then I read something where the daughter was like, in the text message chain, she was like, who is this? Which actually I think is quite funny. So Brooklyn's wife, Victoria's daughter-in-law, was like, who is this person? Who is Meghan? Like, who is this Duchess? So I think like that's kind of telling. That's kind of like, well, the invites were kind of down to them, was kind of down to the wife and kind of down to Brooklyn and probably down to sort of the wife's parents, because they, as I understand, were sort of hosting the wedding because the wedding was on their property. So I don't really think it's as deep as like Harry and, you know, Harry and Meghan being excluded from the wedding and Beckham being like, no way, Victoria being like, no. One, I don't think they're that petty because I think they have so much class. And two, I just don't think that it's that deep. And then the whole Lionel Messi and the football thing, again, I just don't think it's that deep. I don't think Harry's got anything to do with David Beckham's philanthropy and, you know, his work and anything to do with football. Like, why on earth would he invite Harry? Like, it's nothing to do with it. And also, if you think about it, I think that Beckham's had a long sort of, if it's a friendship or if it's a working friendship, whatever it is, with the royals. And he hugely respects the royals. I mean, he queued up for what, 13 hours to go and see the Queen. He didn't skip the queue. He spoke to people in the line. He bought cupcakes or cookies or stuff for people in the queue. And he lined up just for that one moment to see the Queen's coffin, bow and dip out. I think he's also got an award from the Queen. It's either an OBE or a CBE, some sort of, you know, recognition by the royal family for his work. And he obviously was at William's wedding. He's obviously at Harry's wedding. He's been involved with them in certain things in the past. So in my view, he probably wants to remain neutral and doesn't want to get involved. So doesn't want to be like, right, I'm going to invite Harry, but then obviously he doesn't invite William. Or I'm going to cut off Harry, and then obviously, what does this mean? Do I now align my allegiance to the royal family? Like, I think he just wants to be neutral, and I think he most likely would be neutral, and so would Victoria. They most likely would just stay out of stuff. There's rumours that Beckham wants to become a Sir, so he wants to get knighted. So, you know, he very much is a royalist, he's a monarchist, he shows a lot of respect and love for the royal family, and I believe his father did, and that kind of instilled it in him. You know, he's a patriot, he loves England, and he's proud of his country. So I don't think he will get involved in all that pettiness, because obviously it can get quite difficult. I mean, imagine if Harry reconciles with the family, and then where does that stand with Beckham? You know, he's not going to want to compromise his integrity and his reputation by getting involved in this crap. So I think that a lot of this is just like whatever, and it's either exacerbated by the media or it's planted by the Sussexes, because I don't think that the Beckhams get involved in all this media crap because they live such a private life and they're so famous, so there really isn't any need for them, you know, to set up paparazzi shots and leak stories and get into the headlines, negative or positive. They don't get involved in that, whereas I think Harry and Meghan do, because they still have a long way. You know, they've been given their platform, handed their platform, and then I think they've got a long way into getting respect, integrity, forming a brand, forming a reputation, being seen as powerful, being seen as, you know, as icons. I think they've got a long way to do that. Whereas Victoria and David, you know, they are icons in their own fields. You know, he's an icon in football, she's an icon in music and fashion. And I just really think that there's no comparison to those two. And so I think that, you know, they would never have planted this story or indeed any other story. So this may be from the Sussexes camp, or it may be just the media doing their thing, You know, they see a little smoke and they catch a little fire. So anyway, guys, so this is obviously the article. So it says here, David Beckham has been reported to be absolutely furious after his wife was accused of leaking stories about the Sussexes. Their relationship with the royal couple was rumoured to be over, despite the football star being a close friend of the royal couple for a number of years. Reports suggested that the relationship is now over, that there was a suspicion that Beckhams has leaked stories about Sussexes. David and Victoria both attended Meghan's wedding together. The couple reportedly bonded after David's communications director, Izzy May, was friends with Marcus Anderson, chief membership officer for private social club Soho House, which helped Meghan organise dates with Harry. I think Meghan wouldn't be Meghan if it wasn't for this Soho House, frankly. She has leaked her contacts. She knows how to leak them. She leaks everyone. And Soho House, wow, now that's a friendship she's definitely not going to freeze. She's definitely not going to cut those people off, because they've really got her to where she is. Victoria Beckham ain't leaking no story, she don't care, okay? And I don't think that they bonded over this Izzy May, Marcus Anderson friend person. I thought that Beckham, you know, was well known to Harry and well known to William way before Meghan was even a blooming thought. So, however, a source has now claimed that David is left absolutely furious after being accused of leaking stories. David and Victoria went to Meghan and Harry's wedding, and they were supportive when Meghan arrived in the UK. I believe that. But the allegations were reportedly discussed over a tense phone call, which damaged the relationship. I don't even understand why Harry needs to always defend her. It's like, you're a big woman. One, you're like 4 years older than him. Two, you're supposed to be this career woman who's grafted and built her own life, and you're so independent and feminist. So why have you, A, got some Prince of England to defend you? It's like, why don't you just pick up the phone to a woman who is supposed to be your friend and say, Victoria, did you do this? Why are you involving Harry and David Beckham and them two having a Barney over their two wives? I mean, if that's not stereotypically, you know, stereotype for the wives of a relationship between two men, I really don't know what is. You know, what is more stereotypical than two wives bickering and then it leaking onto their husbands, and then the two husbands getting involved and then everyone just splitting? I mean, how stereotypical is that scenario? Just be a big woman, because you're supposed to be someone big, pick up the phone, you know, like Catherine, Princess of Wales, did with you when she came over and knocked on your door and gave you flowers and a card and apology. You know, why don't be a big woman, like you say, oh, she did what I do, you know, I accepted my fault or whatever. Pick up the phone to Victoria Beckham and go, yo, what's going on, girl? Like, she's supposed to be your close friend. I don't think so. I don't think they were that close, but anyway. So according to royal biographer Tom Bower, the Duke of Sussex were addicted to reading negative press and spent time checking social media. I believe that. I think Harry said something quite similar in that Stephen Colbert late night show, whatever. I think he said something similar about always scrolling and looking at sort of negative headlines. I don't know why you do that, but there we are. And wouldn't that make anyone crazy, frankly? Anyone, not even just Harry and Meghan, anyone. If any celebrity went online and just looked at all the negative, would that not just make you crazy? Anyway, so Bower claims Meghan suspected Victoria and Prince Harry called David to repeat the accusation. A source told The Sun in 2020 Harry was very polite, but obviously it was a pretty awkward exchange and David was mortified. Inexplicably, Meghan feared Victoria was behind it. I mean, the idea that Victoria Beckham would personally ring journalists to to give them a scoop is ridiculous, and spoke to Harry about it. Harry is very protective of Meghan and decided to deal with the matter head on by directly contacting his good pal David. So see, the friendship predated this stupid Marcus Anderson Soho House nonsense. So I don't even know why they're trying to link it to Meghan, like as though Meghan's made all these friends. Like, no, that friendship was already cultivated between Harry and David before Meghan was even in the picture. And so again, it's even such a bigger shame that Meghan couldn't just be, you know, an adult about it and had just picked up the phone and spoke to Victoria herself. And imagine Victoria Beckham. Are you having a laugh? What need does this woman have to spoil stories? What is the need? What is it? Fame? Money? Like, she's got both. She's got both in abundance. You know, David Beckham has got to be worth more money than Harry. He's got to be. And don't even get me started on Victoria Beckham and Meghan's wealth. Like, come on, they're on a completely different league. I don't even understand what's going on here. What incentive would Victoria Beckham have to leak a story? I don't even understand. I don't understand it. Somebody help me. Somebody help me. It's Victoria Beckham. I mean, doesn't Meghan wear her clothes? Like, I don't understand. Like, oh, I don't understand. I don't get it. Anyway, so so Harry's very protective of Meghan. Well, of course, David would be protective over Victoria. I mean, obviously. And decided to deal with the matter head on by contacting his good pal David. He quickly put Harry right, and the two men agreed to move on, but it certainly made things awkward for a while. And the thing is, in situations like this, even if the men choose to move on, it still leaves the awkwardness with the wives. So, because the wives haven't talked it out. So it's just really weird. It's like, well, the details were said to be beauty tips Victoria had shared with Meghan before she moved to London. The source said it later turned out that the leak probably came from a beauty salon. Afterwards, they got things back on track, but it took a few months. I mean, how stupid. The leak came from a beauty salon. How stupid. How stupid. Oh, God. Like, you seriously think you're that entitled, you're that important, that you're going to make accusations from these well-established people who have been around for decades when you were a nobody. You're going to come into the scene and you're going to make accusations amongst these people and amongst these circles that they are somehow making money off of you and leaking stories on you because you're just so important, you're just so great. Like, excuse me? And then actually you didn't even bother looking into it enough because it actually came from someone from a bloody beauty salon, an actual normal person. Anyway. Oh, how frustrating. I don't even know what to say. So, guys, this is just nonsense, isn't it? Anyway, guys, as I said, I take parts of the articles with a pinch of salt. You know, I don't think their relationship is over. And I don't think Beckham is necessarily furious. He's probably, like, annoyed and offended. And they probably both are really offended. But it is what it is. I know, I personally believe that Harry is extremely paranoid and extremely protective of Meghan, and he's extremely sensitive. He gets offended by every little thing. You know, someone might be like, oh, Meghan's hair is black, I don't like black. And he'll be like, what? They're attacking my wife. They're attacking us. It's racism. They don't like her hair. What? Her hair is like amazing. It's made from Zeus. You know what I'm saying? Because he just thinks she's like flipping Cleopatra. And so anything you say about her is just like an attack on them, an attack on him. And it's a personal attack. You can't surely have an opinion. And I think he's extremely paranoid about the press. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think she exacerbates it, which is really sad. I don't think she's that wife that goes, oh, Harry, don't issue that lawsuit. Harry, this can't be true. Just calm down, my love. You know, this isn't true. No one's after you. No one's after us. We're safe. No one's going to harm us. I think she exacerbates it, that she's like, I wake up at night, I can't sleep, I wake up in the middle of the night looking in the corridor, where's my babies, where's security, oh my God, they're harming me, you know, you're harming me, I want to kill myself, you're making me afraid, you know. And she, you know, you can tell from the Netflix documentary when she says all of that crap and, you know, trying to push a tear out of her eyes. And then also from the Netflix documentary where they have that silly, you know, they're coming from a car park and apparently there was a guy on a motorbike. They have that silly exchange and she's in a car and she's like looking back and Harry's looking back and she's like, what? They're still following us? Oh my gosh, what? And then she says to him something like, oh, there was a guy, there was another guy or something in the car park or something, I'm just letting you know, or, you know, something like that. So basically just letting them know that it was like someone else, or there was somebody looking at them, or there was somebody taking pictures of them, or whatever it was. And she's like, yeah, I'm just letting you know. And then she's like, it's okay, Harry, safety first, we're just going from one car park to another. She's like, oh my god, it's the same guy, it's the same guy. And I think that she exacerbates it, and I think she knows what she's doing, because that whole situation from what we saw was nothing. There were no clips of this one guy on a motorbike. And even it was one guy on a motorbike, because one guy on a motorbike, like, you're a famous person going around LA. Like, have a break and sit with Britney Spears and let's talk about tabloids, because it's ridiculous. And I think she exacerbates his paranoia and exacerbates his like anxieties and safety first, Harry, safety first. You know, it's the same guy. And it's like, what are you doing? And so I kind of feel like, you know, that's kind of why he is just more and more paranoid, and he just is so gaslighted and is so provoked, and he feels as a man he has to defend his wife and fight for these things because he's been so emasculated in so many different ways, you know, including his own insecurities, comparing himself with William. He just feels so emasculated. And so here he is with this trophy wife who he thought was the most beautiful woman in the world, that everyone was going to think was the most beautiful woman in the world. Everyone was going to think she was strong and powerful and articulate and the next Diana, and she was going to outshine everyone and she was going to be his trophy. You know, he doesn't have the crown as William does, but he has this beautiful trophy, walking around with his Cleopatra. And then when a lot of people turned against her and were like, we really don't like this girl, then he was just completely heartbroken and just broke apart and was like, how can they not love my wife? It's an attack on me, it's an attack on my wife, it's racism, my wife's safety, blah 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 blah. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling now. So guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Are you team Beckham? Are you team Sussex? Do you really think that this is something Victoria Beckham would do? Do you think that David Beckham has the right to be furious? Do you think that Meghan has the right to assume that it was Victoria? What do you guys think? Should Harry have got involved? Should Meghan have fought her own battles? Should she have sat her close friend down and said, look, what's going on? I don't believe they were close friends, but there we are. So guys, what do you think? Let me know, and please do subscribe to my channel. Bye guys.